It's been ages since I did anything Ben 10 related on this channel. I think the last thing was the Kaiju episode like 3 months ago or something, and don't get me wrong, I really liked branching out on this channel into new topics that I hadn't covered before, like for the Minecraft episode last week and the SCP Superheroes episodes and the Power Rangers episode, but branching out doesn't mean that I should neglect the franchises that helped make this channel what it is, like Ben 10 and My Hero Academia and stuff like that. So today I'm finally doing another Ben 10 focused episode, bringing some Ben 10 aliens into a series that people have been really enjoying on the channel lately, turning famous animated characters into mech suits. Which of course means bringing back everybody's new favorite Popcross narrator. So let's check in on Benny Shop's mech making business, shall we? Let's go. Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show. Well, look who came back for another round of mech armors from old Benny Shop, huh? You know, I tell most people to stay out of my business, but I like you people. You wanna hear more about the suits I done built? Alright, let's get into it, cause I got a doozy for you today. See, there's this one client I got who has commissioned more suits off of me than anyone else. First time he came to me, he ordered 10 different suits. Took me nearly a year to make them all, but I got them done, and since then he's come back to me for even more. I don't know what he's doing with them, cause I never see the guy in the news or nothing, but I tell ya, I basically provided this guy with a whole army. He could practically take over the world if he wanted to, but doesn't really seem like the type. Seems a bit more like a goody-goody if you ask me. Anyway, he sometimes lets me get creative with what the suits can do, but the only thing he says they gotta do is they all gotta be powered by this crazy watch he wears. He let me study it for a bit and the thing is nuts. Seems like it's basically an infinite energy source. Sorta like that thing from that movie, you know, the like Metal Man or something like that. It's got that ex-junkie in it, Robin Dummy Jr. or something. I don't know, I don't really watch superhero movies. I'm all about rom-coms. You ever see Mean Gals? Now that's cinema. You go, Glenn Coco, right? That's from the movie, right? I don't know, whatever, anyway. So this guy, he's got an infinite energy source on his wrist, so I can really go to town with the power absorption of these suits. I'm gonna tell you about some of the best ones I made for this kid, and the first one has gotta be one of the first suits I ever made for him. His only instructions were it's gotta be real strong, and it's gotta have 4 arms. Now, I don't know if you know this about people, but we only got 2 arms, right? I mean, I seen a lady once with 3 arms. That was pretty freaky, but that's also pretty rare. But regardless, this guy wanted the suit to have 4 arms. So I was like, alright, let's do it. But the thing is, he wanted the other arms under the armpits. I'm like, buddy, there's no room for that. You're gonna be bumping into yourself all over the place. So you know what I do? Here's what I do. I make a massive set of extra arms sticking out of his back. And just to show off what I can do, I make these things strong enough to lift a house without flinching. This thing is one of the strongest suits I ever did build, and good on me too, cause I think it's the one that convinced this kid to keep coming back to me for more. This thing is even strong enough to do a concussive clap. This thing slams all 4 hands together and it sends a massive shockwave that can clear out a whole city block. Some of my finest work, if I do say so myself, or at least it was at the time. That one was a while ago and I've built way more impressive stuff since. I'll get into some of those other ones in a sec. Some good stuff coming up. Now honestly, for the design notes of this character, I don't really have too much to say because, you know, I kind of worked a lot of the stuff that I wanted to talk about in this into Benny Sharp's actual monologue. The big hurdle of this one was where to put the extra arms. Like, I could have just put them in the armpit area of where, you know, we actually have arms, but I felt like I would be able to stretch the design that much more if I put them coming off the back, because then I wouldn't have to make them small enough to fit under the regular arms. So I could really push the scale of those ones, and I feel like that made this piece so much more interesting. I was taking a lot of inspiration for those back arms from the Hulkbuster, and you'll see in one of the later drawings in this episode, I take even more inspiration from the Hulkbuster for it. And well, in this series, I've been trying to not lean too heavily into just making Iron Man style armors. I think in this episode I did a good job pulling the right amount of inspiration from Iron Man style suits. I also really like the pose of this one. I'm trying to shake up the poses that I use for these episodes a bit more. I've talked about it before, but it's kind of a tricky balance to find because I don't want to make it so dynamic that we're obscuring lots of the parts of the character's body, because one of the main focuses of these episodes is the character design. So we want to see as much of the design as possible. But also I have been finding that I repeat a lot of poses lately, so I'm trying to shake it up without obscuring design elements too much. And I think this one is a really good balance of that. Anyway, I'm super happy with this design and I hope you all like it as well. Here's our 4 arms mech. Now after that first batch of suits, like I said, the guy came back for more. He was clearly happy with old Benny's work. And by the way, as an aside, this guy's name is Ben. And like, he actually goes by Ben. What's all that about? You got a chance to go by the third greatest name in human history, Benny, and you go by Ben? What kind of name is Ben? What a schlub. Anyway, he comes to me for way more suits, and one of them, he says he wants it to be agile, able to climb walls, and most importantly, he wants it to be able to freeze stuff. All that's gonna be pricey, obviously, but he's always good for it. I think his grandpa's funding some of the payments, but from what I know about the guy, he's a freaking plumber. I know plumbers make decent dough, but the amount this guy dishes out for suits, he's got me sitting like the flippin' Queen of England over here. How's he got all this money? For real? I mean, not actually for real, that's one of those, what do you call it, like a hypothermic question. Because you know me, as long as I get paid, I don't actually ask any questions. But still, I am a little bit curious. But back to this suit, right? I make it one of my slickest suits yet. So skin tight, you wouldn't even guess that it was a metal suit. He wanted it to be agile, so I made it as agile as I could go. This thing was even slimmer than the roller suit I made for that race car guy. But of course I needed somewhere to store the liquid nitrogen canisters. That's what fuels the freeze ray that can shoot out of this thing's hands. So I gives this thing the biggest forearms and hands you ever did see. And I just tell the kid it's an aesthetic choice. And he loves it. He doesn't ask no questions or nothing. What a customer, huh? Now for the climbing walls bit, that was a challenge, but I did something pretty clever for that. I made it so when the palms press against a flat surface, they instantly freeze the hand to the wall. Then immediately melt when he pulls away. I juiced up the freezing capacity so much that it could be an 110-degree day outside and he'd still be able to freeze himself to a wall. Plus it's got all the works of my basic suits, enhanced durability and strength and speed, and I tell ya, I like this suit enough that I made a second one just for myself. I got a few suits stored up in my basement just for me. Don't really do nothing with them, but who knows, maybe they'll come in handy someday. Now I'm a little bit torn on this suit's result, just in the sense that if you looked at it without looking at an image of Arctiguana or knowing what this was supposed to be, I highly doubt you would guess that it's supposed to be a mech suit version of Arctiguana. It almost looks more like Sonic the Hedgehog the way I did the head. But on the other side of things, I think it might be one of the best character designs I've ever done. I just love the look of it so much. It feels so me. The mix of cartooniness with comicness, the shading and lighting on it, the color scheme in general, and of course the gigantic hands and forearms. It just feels so Popcross Studios to me. So even though, you know, it kind of fails to look like a mech suit of Arctiguana, I still absolutely love this thing. Also, as I was drawing it, I was taking some inspiration from Genji from Overwatch. I don't really know why I was doing that, but you can probably see that that was some of the inspiration for the mech bits and helmet bits and stuff. Anyway, I hope you all like the design as much as I do. Let's take a look at the finished result. Alright everybody, I can't get you a mech suit in real life, but you know what I can get you? I can get you a poster of a mech suit. You head over to Benny Shop's Teespring store and I got a whole bunch of different posters. All of the mech suits I designed today, they're up as posters on that store. I even put up some of the ones from the previous episodes. You want the Lightning McQueen poster? I got that up there too. Bunch of other ones, I don't know which ones I put up. Go looking around, they'll all be linked in the little bar beneath this video. So what are you waiting for? Go get a mech suit poster before they're all gone. I mean, they print them on demand so they can't really go anywhere, but hey, maybe the printer will get destroyed, or maybe the world will end, and your one big regret will be, hey, I never got a Benny Shop mech suit poster. That'd be a real shame, wouldn't it? So go get a poster, what are you waiting for? Anyway, let's get back into the last one, huh? Let's go. Look, I could go on all day about the other suits I built for this kid, but I'm a busy guy, I gotta get back to work, so I'll just tell you about one more, cause this one, there's a pretty funny story about how I went about building it. So the kid comes to me with his wildest request yet, right? He wants a suit that's massive and bulky and tough as a titanium turtle, but most important, he wants it to control gravity. What does he think I am, Jesus? Next he'll want me to make one that can turn water into cheese whiz or something. But what can I do, tell him no? He's one of my best customers. So I do what I always do when I don't know if I can actually do something. I say, sure thing, and I'll figure it out later. And of course, as always, I figured it out later. I got my cousin Billy's shop to take a little trip into this Foundation facility, a place that tracks and registers superheroes, right? Most of those folks on the registry, they got natural superpowers. They don't need a mech suit and nothing. But some of them do use some pretty fancy tech. I actually built some tech for one of them once. But don't tell those Foundation people that. I told them I didn't know nothing about him. Anyway, I was hoping that someone on their registry would have some kind of gravity tech, right? Well, lucky me, instead of just finding some useful information, Billy finds this device in storage. logged away as item 385. That's a belt that can change a person's gravity field. And bing bang boom, we're in business. Old Billy walks right out of there wearing the thing and brings it to me, and then I worked my magic on it. No way I could have figured out how to control gravity on my own. I'm a smart guy, but I know my limits. But when I tore this thing apart, I got the gist of how it worked, and then I knew exactly what I needed to know. I made some adjustments and worked the thing into the suit for the kid. And the whole thing worked like a dream. He could change the gravity of himself and any gravity field within 100 meters of himself. But the kid almost made things even more complicated, because after I was basically finished, he came to me and asked if there was any way I could make the suit able to transform into a giant floating ball, too. And look, I don't like saying no, so I just said maybe we work that in later, huh? And I mean, he's never asked for it since, so I'm hoping he just forgot. I mean, he's got so many suits that I bet he doesn't even remember that the thing can't do that. What good would it do him anyway? What, does he want to go giant bowling or something? The thing is already one of the craziest suits I ever done built. It doesn't need to turn into a giant ball. That's just ridiculous, huh? You know what, come to think of it, I haven't heard from old cousin Billy in a while. Hope those Foundation folks didn't get to him or nothing, but you know what, I ain't gonna worry about it. You know what I say about worrying, it doesn't make tomorrow any better and it makes the day suck like a busted vacuum. Anyway, I'll see you folks later, I'm getting back to work. Now, you can probably tell already that this is the other drawing of the episode that was heavily inspired by the Hulkbuster, because this thing just looks like a reskinned Hulkbuster. I decided to use Gravitac for this episode after Cullen Calmer suggested it to me when we were chatting the other day, because he sent the design over. I'd seen Gravitac before, but hadn't really taken a good long look at him, and he does kinda just look like a Rocky Hulkbuster. And I really love that Hulkbuster Juggernaut kinda look, so I was just like, yeah, I really want to take a crack at this. And I do think I like the other two drawings in this episode a bit better, but I do still like how this turns out. The main problem of this one for me is just the pose. Like, I like the pose, but the idea was that he'd be leaned over and looking back up at us. But the thing is, if I was drawing a regular human character like this, I could have the pupils kind of pointing back up at us. But because he's got those glassy screen kind of eyes that most of my robot and mech characters have, there aren't really any pupils to have pointed back up at us. I tried to put some glints in the eyes and work the shadows to make it look like he's looking up towards us, but it didn't really come across, so the drawing just sort of looks like he's looking down at his feet as if he's digging something up out of the ground or something. I don't know, I mean, I still like it. I just, you know, like I said, I think I like the other two drawings better from this episode. This one also feels a little bit more like a Transformer than a mech suit, but, you know, Transformer designs basically could be mech suits, just bigger. Anyway, I feel like I've down-talked this one a bit, but I actually do really like how it looks. And I hope you all feel the same. Here's the finished result of our Gravitac mech. But the thing is, he wanted the other arms under the armpits, and I'm like, buddy, there's no room for that. You're gonna be bumping in. You're gonna be bumping in. Okay, I could do it. I could do it. I feel like the quality of my work on this channel comes and goes in waves a little bit. Like, I'll do a bunch of really good episodes, and then some slightly less good episodes, and then some really good episodes, and I feel like we've just gotten into a nice big arc of some really good stuff. Absolutely loved how the Minecraft episode turned out last week, and I really love how this one turned out too. And not just because I really love doing the Benny Shop voice. But anyway, give me more ideas for what you'd like to see done in this series next, because I definitely want to do more episodes of this. I'm thinking maybe for the next one, famous animated TV show characters, so I can do Aang and Kipo and characters like that. But maybe I can even start doing some not animated characters for this series too. I don't know, give me ideas in the comments. And of course, if you're new to the channel, you can check out other episodes in this series, turning famous animated movie characters into mech suits. Got 2 episodes of that. And you can check out some of my other Ben 10 stuff. I've got lots of it on the channel. Some of the best is probably the Ben 10 Kaiju episode and the Ben 10 Dragons episode. But besides that, that's all for today. I'm Christian Pearson. This has been Popcross Studios, home of the Nerdy Start videos on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and I will see you all in the next video on Friday. Goodbye.